So you want to have boons that are better than in a full party or squad without having any allies around you. This build is for you. It's a power Chronomancer build that is very, very good at producing boons itself while still having amazing damage and very good defenses. This build is very fun as well. So let's jump right in. So the important thing before I get to the gear here is that Chronomancer is definitely the worst elite spec when it comes to Mesmer's solo builds. But it's definitely one of the most Mesmery. We will get to that in a second why, but it is still very strong. So if you want to have a really, really strong build, you should either use the Virtuoso one or use Mirage one because it's quite easy to play. This one is a little bit harder to play and has a little bit more problems with one-shotting damage because it's a little bit less tanky in that sense. If you are a Chronomancer enjoyer like me, this will not stop you. So this time we have a very nice Chronomancer build for you. It has amazing damage still and the best boon uptime of every single build here. With that out of the way, let's start with the gear. It's a power build with spear and dagger sword. For your weapons, you want to run Marauder, full Marauder stats, and force and frailty sigils, just to keep up more damage and get more vulnerability, because this build actually lacks a bit in vulnerability application, which is always a problem for solo builds, but frailty sigil helps quite a bit on both weapon sets, that is. Then for armor, you want to run full commander gear with fireworks rune, just to get more boon duration, get some nice toughness as well, and cap out on your precision, or at least get there. If you want to use infusions, you can of course use them. Power infusions would be the most optimal choice here. And then for the relic slot, we go for Relic of Zakiros. It's just the best option when it comes to a power build for sustain. And then for trinkets, you want to go full Marauder, except on the back piece. The back piece is Diviner. This way you get to 60% crit rate without any infusions. So it's perfectly feasible to just use the gear. And also without any food. For the food and the consumables, you want to run Plates of Peppercorn Spice Beef Carpaccio, just because the minus 10% incoming damage is very nice and you get more concentration and power, just what you need. I want to say that food is not necessary, but it helps a lot. So if you want to get even more out of the build, you should run with this food. Or at least any food. And then for utility consumables, Furious Sharpening Stone is by far the best. But you can also use just normal Sharpening Stones, Superior Sharpening Stones. Now let's get to the traits. So for the traits, we run Chaos, Illusions, and Chronomancer. We will now see why the boon application is so crazy, because Chaos gives you so many boons. Chaos gives you regen when you use a healing skill, that's quite nice. You get a Chaos Aura when you shatter with your F2 skill. And you get more concentration and expertise while you are affected by regeneration, which should be the case in every single second in the fight. Then you get protection for every single illusion that you shatter. Really good. Also has some base duration. And then you get regen when you get Chaos Arm. Chaos Aura you get when you use your F2 skill, so you get regen every time as well, so you don't even have to use your healing skill to cap regen. And lastly, we have Bountiful Disillusionment. This is so overpowered, it's crazy. Every single shatter skill will now give you stability. You get very nice boons depending on the shatter you use as well. And they are so long lasting that you can upkeep a lot of them just by using this trait. It's really, really good. So this gives you a lot of boons. And then we have illusions. The first one is not that important. This one is quite nice. More recharge reduction on your shatter skills, also affects continuum split. That's very good. And you get more damage stacks whenever you create an illusion. That's quite nice. Then when your Phantasm becomes a clone, it transfers its boons to you. This is really good. You will see why in a second. But this is really strong because it transfers all boons of them to you. With this trait, Phantasms spawn with quickness, and you gain quickness when you create a Phantasm. So this means that whenever you create a Phantasm, you get 2.5 seconds with this trait, 2.5 seconds of quickness, and then the Phantasm does its skill. And when it despawns, it gives you the quickness that it still has, maybe depending on what kind of Phantasm, maybe 2 seconds of quickness, back to you as well with this trait. So you get 4 seconds of quickness just by using a Phantasm, which is not a Chronomancer trait, just a baseline trait. Really, really good. And then Phantasmal Force. Phantasms deal increased strike damage for each stack of might you have. You have 25 might stacks permanently, because gain might when your phantasms become clones. And that's really, really easy to get. So together with this trait, you have easily 25 might all the time. And therefore they have 25% more damage. It's really good. And lastly, we have Chronomancer. So Chronomancer gets you access to your continuum split, so you can use it when you have 3 clones and then use all your skills, and then you go back and have them recharged. So it's really nice. Also gives you resistance, so that's really strong as well. Then you get alacrity when you shatter. This is really good because this is your alacrity generation, and this is scaling with the clone. So how many clones you shatter? That's extremely strong, and keep always track of and try to get as many shatters with 3 clones as you can. And then you get more movement speed, and the movement in pairing conditions lasts less long. So then we have delayed reactions. Disabling a foe slows them. This is important because that will create decent slow uptime. And for the next trait, you get more crit chance when you hit a foe with slow. This is important because you don't cap out without this trait on crit chance, and you can't upkeep slow 100%. So yes, that's sad, but at least sometimes you can get up to 100% crit rate. The theory that you can keep up 100%. If you think this is not worth it, that is fine. You can then swap this trait to the improved alacrity trait, which will make alacrity better and gives you more crit damage. This will lead to something that you don't crit all the time. With this trait you will also not always crit, but way more often than with this. And if you swap this trait, you would also swap to this trait. So the second setup would be like this. This would just increase your shatters a little bit, the damage, which is nice, but your damage mostly comes from the phantasms as well. So this is the second setup. Both of them are totally fine. I think I like the danger time setup because the delayed reactions allow you to easily get all the break bars done without even trying to get them done, because most of the skills that apply slow will stack up now way more often with all the CCs, and all of them will apply slow as well. So you get actually quite a decent amount of soft CC going and breaking the break bar. And lastly, and that's the really crazy one, we don't take any of the stretch time or seize the moment traits, which will give you alacrity and quickness depending on the shatters, or on the phantasmal shatter that you use. Normally they would be really good in a support setup or in a squad setup. But in this setup, we want to run Chronophantasm. Chronophantasm is really interesting. Whenever you spawn a Phantasm, it will do its attack, and when it's done with the attack, it will despawn and it will create a clone. However, with Chronophantasm, it will resummon itself the first time. This means it will do the attack twice. And this is really, really good, because this means all the traits that we used, for example, Phantasmal Haste and Phantasmal Persistent of Memory, will proc again. So you get 2 times the amount of quickness, for example. And all the boons that it gets will also be transferred to you a second time. So this trait not only increases your damage from the Phantasms by 100% because they do it twice, but will also proc all your traits like this a second time. Or this one as well. So it's really, really good. So this is why I think it's the most Mesmery playstyle, because it creates an illusion, it does something, and it creates an illusion again. It's so, so to some extent a little bit spammy, but it feels very fun to play because you have so many illusions and confusing things going on for the enemy that it makes this, I think, a really fun build to play. Okay, let's quickly talk about the skills. So for the skills, of course, we have here the Phantasm Swordsman, really important skill, always use it off cooldown, as well as the Unstable Bladestone and the Blade Coil just for damage. This is your range stat. You need this for block or evade. You can use it, or also for CC. Really, really strong. Then use your Shatters, of course, off cooldown. This is a very nice CC skill. This is a nice invulnerability skill. And the others are really important for boon uptime. Your Elite skill is also really strong. It's also a nice damaging skill. CC will also apply slow with the traits. I would always use this. If you need more CC or stealth, you could use stealth here. But most of the time I would say this is the best one. If you need even more CC, you could also go for Signet of Ether. And then lastly, for the healing skill, I would always go for Signet of Ether. It's just the best option because it can not only heal you passively, but the active heal will also reset all your Phantasms by 100%. Your Phantasms are the bread and butter of this build, so they're really strong. So if you need more damage, if you don't need any healing, or not that much healing at least, you can use that to get more damage out of them. And we have Arcane Theory. This allows you to easily cap out on quickness, but most of the time it's more applied for the slow and the condition transfer on the boons, because you don't have that much boon removal. This is the nice tool to remove boons. If you know you don't face a boon foe or you don't need condition cleanse, then you can drop this. You don't need this to upkeep quickness. It's quickness you always get to the highest amount without this trait skill. So you can go, for example, for mirror images. You could go for more CC, mantra, or even the well is fine. Another stun break, or stun break could be useful, but you have stability most of the time, so that's also nice. So there are many options here. Even blink is a very valid option because it's a nice teleport. And we have Phantasmal Disenchanter, really, really strong. It's another boon removal, and it's also Phantasm, and therefore it creates itself twice and does a lot of damage. It's really, really strong. Never drop this. And then we have Mantra of Pain. I would also say don't drop this because it's a nice vulnerability source, and you, like I said, lack a little bit of vulnerability application. So this is a really good option. And that's it for the skills. You can see in the background, the gameplay loop is very nice. Okay, let's take a quick look at the spear again. So spear, you should always use Mind the Gap and try to use it and hit them with the outer edge, so that you can then use your Phantasmal Lancer, because it will now spawn 2 phantasms that will despawn and will again spawn twice. So it has 4 phantasms from round skill. It's insane. And if you did this, you can then reset the 2 skill with your 5 skill. And if you, for example, then reset your illusions with the Signet of Ether, you will get the Phantasmal Lancer again. So you can get 8 illusions out of that. That's really crazy, the combo. And that does a lot of damage, and you get a lot of boon uptime. So I will very quickly show you how fast and how easy it is to get full boons with this build. So you would start here and do this. And you can see how easy it is to just spam all your buttons. It's not like you have to concentrate a lot here. And you have such a high amount of boons permanently. It's actually insane. So you can see in the background, the boon application is very easy. Most of the time you just spam your skills or do your rotation and you have all the boons permanently. And it's also crazy that you have stability all the time. Try to deal damage to heal you because of the Sakiros relic. Also try to proc your healing signet just by creating phantasms, creating illusions. All of that heals you. So try to not use it if you don't need the damage or if you don't need the active heal from it, because it gives you some nice sustain passively. And yeah, that's the build. I hope you have as much fun with this build as I have. It's a really fun build. If you're also a Chronomancer enjoyer, this build is for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.